round 13 is pretty easy. Chain 1, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the corner space. And it's very similar to round 10 that we did previously. So we're starting with 1 single crochet, and then we have the front post treble from the opposite side. So we go 3 ahead and 1 round down. 1, 2, 3 ahead and 1 round down. So that is that front post half treble that we did in the previous round. And we work it from the opposite side. So we're inserting the hook from the opposite side. And then through 2, 2, 2, we skip 1 stitch, and then we make 2 single crochet starting in the next stitch. So now you should be at that gap here where we're going to make another HDCBB X. So we go through the top loops and the top loops of the skipped stitch, working around those, making our HDC, our half double crochet. Another 2 single crochet, and then another half double crochet, and that goes through the top of the 2 together stitch and the skipped stitch below. Now maybe you see why we need that substance here, why we need that half treble. Our next stitch is a treble, and we're working in the top of this stitch here. So we have the 2 stitches that cross each other, one that's being crossed and one that's crossing over. In that one that's being crossed, we're working in the top loops here. Then we skip that stitch behind, and then we have 5 single crochet. And the third of those will fall into that middle stitch that is between those DCBBs here. 5, and then again we're going to work a treble in the top loops of this stitch this time, which is the one that is crossing. So a treble, we skip that stitch behind the treble, and we'll make another HDC BBX going through the top loops and here we go, and through the top loops of the skipped stitch, working our half double crochet. 2 single, another HDC BBX, top and skipped tops, two single crochet, and we're working backwards with a front post treble around this stitch here. And 1 single crochet in the last stitch. Let's do it again together. Single crochet, front post treble from the opposite side. I'm just going to grab that stitch and then go around it here, skip the stitch behind here, 2 single, half double crochet behind and below with the X variation where we go through the top of the next stitch and the top loops of the skipped stitch. Another 2 single crochet and another HDCBB. Then we've got a treble in both loops of this stitch here. The one that's being crossed. We skip this next stitch, 5 single crochet, going back with a treble and the crossing stitch, that long double treble in the top loops. Skip that stitch, another HDCBB, or HDCBBX actually. Two single crochet, HDCBBX. Two single, a front post treble where we go backwards, 3 back, 1 down, and a single crochet in the last stitch. We skip this one and the last stitch. So 2 more times for you to repeat around, to repeat this side, and for me too, of course. And we'll do round 14 together then. Round 14. We start with a chain 1 and a corner. And then a front post treble around this stitch here. 2 ahead and 1 down. A single crochet in the next stitch, so we skip 1 and then 1 single crochet. A DCBB, double crochet behind and below the next stitch. And now a front post double treble, so yarn over 3 times, and we're working around the stitch 0 minus 3. So from this stitch we're going 3 rounds down, 1 2 3, and we're working around this stitch here. We have to skip the stitch in front of the DCBB and the one behind this front post double treble, and from the next is our first of 2 single crochet. Then we're working a half treble in the front loop only of the next stitch, so only the front loop. We're making a half treble, then 2 single crochet. Then we're working that DCBB MLB. We're working in front of this loop here. So insert your hook through the top loops from back to front, and then into the top loops of the skipped stitch. Yarn over and pull through, and then we're working a normal double crochet. 1 single and a front post double treble from the opposite side. We're going to work around this stitch, so I'm going to grab it, insert my hook from the opposite side, and I'm working a normal front post double treble. Okay, we skip the stitch behind here, one single, and another front post double treble, this time a normal one going around the stitch that we had crossed. Skip the stitch behind, one single crochet, then a double crochet behind and below DCBB, two single, so skip the stitch in front of that DCBB, two single, and a half treble in front loop only again, two single. And you see my half treble was pushed a little bit back, so I'm just going to pull it forward because I'm going to work around this part here. A front post double treble from the opposite side. We're going to work around this stitch. I'm going to grab it and hold it, insert the hook from the opposite side, and work around it, making my double treble. We've been working in front of this stitch, so we skip this one, and now we're working behind this special stitch. We're making a DCBB again. One single crochet. We should have one stitch left, which we're going to skip because instead we're going to make a front post treble, now working backwards around this top stitch here. Two back and one round below. And we are in the corner. Let's do it together. One more time. Front post treble around the stitch here. Skip one stitch, single crochet in the next. Double crochet behind and below top loops of that skipped stitch here. Front post double treble, 0 minus 3. We go straight down 3 rounds, then we work around the stitch here. Skip the stitch in front of the DCBB and behind the special stitch. And 2 single crochet. And we'll work in the front loop only of the next stitch, working a half treble. Oops, sorry. Yarn over twice. Half treble. Go through 2, go through all 3. 2 single crochet. And that DCBB that is worked in front of that loop between the stitches into the top loops of the skipped stitch. Single crochet, front post double treble from the opposite side around this stitch. I'm going to grab it, insert the hook from the opposite side, and I'm making a front post double treble. 1 single crochet, then again the front post double treble, now working around this stitch here. Skip the stitch behind this front post treble, 1 single, and then a DCBB. Two single crochet, half treble in the next stitch, front loop only, work only in the front loop, another 2 single crochet, a front post double treble from the opposite side around this stitch here, single crochet, which will fall into the second to last stitch, and then that front post treble -2 -1. So we work around the stitch that we just worked over with our front post double treble. So this was our front post double treble, we worked over this stitch, and now we're working around this. And we go into the corner. So repeat the last side 2 more times, and in the end slip stitch into the single crochet of the starting corner, and then we continue with round 15. We start round 15 after the chain 1 and the corner with a single crochet and then a DCBB. And again, if you're keen, work in front of this connecting loop. If you don't like that, that's an easy thing to do. Then after the DCBB, we'll make another single crochet and then a half treble around the stitch 1 ahead and 1 round below, which is this stitch, that long front post double treble that we made in the previous round. We skip that stitch behind here, and we're making a HDC BB. Go through the top loops of the next stitch and this top loops of the skipped stitch below here. Then 1 single crochet and a 2 together stitch. And this 2 together, we did that before here. So we're making the same stitch again. The first leg is a treble leg, and we work it around the same front post double treble over the previous front post stitch here. Keep the 2 loops on the hook. Now again, yarn over twice, but we're only working a half treble around this stitch, but from the opposite side. So I'll grab the stitch, insert the hook from the opposite side, bring the yarn in front, and then I'm working through 2 loops and then through all loops on the hook. We skip the stitch behind here. Now we have to work into the top loops of the next stitch and that back loop only. We're working a HDC BB, but in the back loop only, and that's behind this half treble there. One single crochet and a front post treble, 2 ahead, 1 ahead and 2 down. So we go 1 ahead, 1, 2 down. That's this stitch here. That's going out to the side. It's one of those long endless. Skip the stitch behind, 2 single crochet, then a DCBB, a single crochet, and another DCBB, then 2 single crochet. Now a front post treble again. We're going 1 back and 1 2 rounds down. Again, that antler to the side. Skip the stitch behind, 1 single crochet, that HTC BB behind and below, but in the back loop only. So you work around those 3 loops there. And again, we've got a 2 together stitch, which is the 2 together D. So on this side, we're working around this stitch first from the and enter the hook from the normal side. We'll make a half treble. So we go through 2 loops, but we'll leave the next 2 on the hook. So we've got 3 on the hook from now on. Then yarn over twice again, and we'll be working around this stitch, but from the opposite side. So again, the second leg of this 2 together stitch is worked from the opposite side, but on this side, it's the treble leg. Then we skip 1 stitch and we make 1 single crochet, which is the one before that gap here. And now we're closing the gap with a HDC BBX, which means we're not working a HDC BB, a half double crochet behind and below, but we're working around those top loops as well. A front post half treble. We go 1 back and 1 round below, but we're not working over this stitch, but under. So we insert the hook under the connection between the front post double treble and that front post that we just made. And we're working a half treble, minus 1 minus 1. Then 1 single crochet, a DCBB worked behind that special stitch, and 1 more single crochet. So now we're in the corner, and we're going to do this again together if you want to. So 1 single crochet, a DCBB, another single crochet in the next stitch, a front post half treble around that long front post double treble there, a HDCBB, and we're working through the top loops and the top loops of the skipped stitch, closing that gap there. 1 single crochet, a 2 together stitch with the first leg, a treble leg around the same front post double treble we just worked around, and this side goes on top. The second leg is a half front post half treble worked around this stitch, but from the opposite side. So I'm inserting my hook from the opposite side, go through 2 and then go through all 4 on the hook. A HDC BBX, go through the top loops and the back loop only, because the front loop is taken from this stitch here. 1 single crochet, a front post treble around this long antler, skip 1 stitch, 2 single crochet, a double crochet behind and below. If you're keen, work in front of this connecting loop here. Let's just do it. We don't need to, because it will be covered later on anyway. 1 single crochet, and then another double crochet behind and below. 2 single crochet, front post treble, -1, -2, skip the stitch behind, 1 single crochet, HDC, BBX, top loop and back loop only. And then again the 2 together stitch, with the first leg is the half treble around the stitch here. Leave those 3 loops on the hook, yarn over twice again. And we're going from the opposite side around this stitch here. And then we'll make the front post treble leg and then go through all 3. We skip 1 stitch and we make 1 single crochet, then a HDC BBX, top loop, a front post half treble under these 2 here, one single crochet, a DCBB, and 1 single crochet. Round 16 is a little bit more relaxed than round 15 was. So we start again, chain 1 and the corner. A single crochet, a front post treble from the opposite side around this stitch here. Skip the stitch behind, 2 single crochet, a HDC BBX, we go through the top loops and the top loops of the skipped stitch. Another 2 single crochet. Then again a HDC BBX, going through the top loops of the 2 together stitch and the top loops of the stitch that is skipped behind it. Then another 2 single crochet, a DCBB, one single crochet, and a front post treble, and we're working around the outer, the next special stitch here. Skip 1 stitch, a single crochet, actually 3 single crochet, and the middle one will fall into the stitch between the DCBBs here. Then again a front post treble, we're going back 1 stitch and down 2 rounds, 1 single crochet, a DCBB, two single crochet, a HDC BBX, top loop, two single crochet, HDC BBX, top loop of the skipped, two single crochet, a front post treble, going back 3 stitches and down 1 round around this stitch here. And a single crochet in the last stitch. Let's do it together on the next side. Single crochet, front post treble +3 -1 from the opposite side. Skip 1 stitch, single, 2 single crochet. HDCBB, top loop of the next stitch and top loop of the skipped one. Then 2 single crochet. And if you find it difficult to find the first single crochet to work with, just know that we're working 2 single crochet, and the first, so the second is the one just before this 2 together, so the first must be this one. Okay, so just find yourself some landmarks. Another HDCBBX. Two single crochet, a DCBB, behind or in front of this loop, 1 single, and a front post treble +1 -2. Now 3 single crochet, and then a front post treble -1 -2. One single crochet just before this special stitch here, behind which we'll make a double crochet. 2 single, a HDCBBX, we go through the top loops and again through the top loops of the skipped stitch. 2 single crochet, again the HDCBBX, top loop and top loop, now another 2 single crochet, we go back with a front post treble, we work around this stitch here. We skip that stitch and 1 single crochet in the last stitch at the corner. And that's it. Just repeat it 2 more times and then slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we'll be together for round 17. We're now in round 17. We started with a chain 1 and our single crochet, chain 2, single crochet corner. Our first stitch is a front post treble. We're working at the stitch around the stitch that is 2 ahead and 1 round down. Then we skip the stitch behind here and we'll make 1 single crochet. Now to close this gap, we're working a half double crochet, insert the hook through the top loops of the next stitch and also through the top loops of the skipped stitch, which is 2 rounds below. Then we're working a front post double treble 0 minus 3, which means we're using this stitch and we work as to count, and we're working 3 rounds down. 1, 2, 3. We're working around this stitch here. Then we skip the stitch and we work 2 single crochet. Now we're making a half treble into the front loop only of the next stitch. Two single crochet, sorry, 4 single crochet. And a front post treble 0 minus 2. We work around the stitch 2 down, 1, 2. That is one of those long antlers. We skip the stitch behind this special stitch here and we'll work 1 single crochet. Now I'm going to make that DCBB, the double crochet behind and below, and I'm going to work it in front of the loop between here. So that, I'll just do it again. So I'm inserting through the top loops from back to front, and then in front of this loop, from front to back, through the top loops of the stitch that is 2 rounds below. 3 single crochet, a double crochet behind and below the next stitch, 1 single crochet, a front post treble 0 minus 2, and we go 1, 2 rounds below, skip the stitch behind here, 4 single crochet, now a half treble in front loop only of the next stitch. So we go through 2 and then we go through all 3 loops on the hook, 2 single crochet, a front post double treble from the opposite side, yarn over 3 times. We will be working around this stitch, so I'm going to grab it and I insert the hook from the opposite side. Bring the yarn to the front and then I work my normal front post double treble. We skip the stitch behind this front post double treble and we're working a HDC BBX, top and top loops. I'm just adjusting the size. Then we've got 1 single crochet, last stitch is again the front post treble. This time we go back 2 stitches and down 1 round. So that was this stitch here that we worked around. And then we're in the corner. So if you want, join me for the make along side. Again, front post treble, we'll work around this stitch here. Skip the stitch behind, 1 single crochet, HDC BBX, a front post double treble, 0 minus 3, skip that stitch, 2 single crochet, a half treble in front loop only, and we're working in the next stitch, front loop only. Then 4 single crochet, a front post treble around the stitch 2 rounds below, which is this one. Skip that stitch behind, 1 single crochet, and then a double crochet worked in front of that loop, three single crochet, normal double crochet behind and below, working in the top loops of the skipped stitch, single crochet, and then again a front post treble, 0 minus 2. We're working around this stitch here. Skip the stitch behind this special stitch and work 4 single crochet, then again the half treble in front loop only, two single crochet, a front post double treble from the opposite side. So I grab my stitch and then I insert the loop, the hook from the opposite side. And finish my double treble. A HDC BBX, top loop of the next stitch and top loop of the skipped stitch below. One single crochet and a front post treble around this stitch here. And we are in the corner. So just repeat the last side 2 more times and then finish with a slip stitch to the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we are ready for round 18 then. Round 18 is our last busy round, and we are close to finishing the square anyway. So we start with a single with a chain 1 and then the corner, and our first stitch is a single crochet. Now remember in the beginning we had that 2 together stitch, and we do that again, and that is where we work one leg behind and the other leg in front. Here we're going to work the front leg first, which is a front post double crochet around the next stitch here. Then we're working the back leg, and that's going to be worked behind and below, a double crochet behind and below, just a normal DCBB actually. And then we bring it together. From here we work 2 single crochet, and then HDCBB. HDCBBX actually. Top loop and top loop. Then 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and you should be 1 stitch before this half treble in front loop here. We're now going to work a 2 together stitch, where the first leg is the treble leg again, same as we did here and here. So the first leg is the treble leg, which we work behind, two stitches behind and 1 below, and then the second leg is worked from the opposite side into this stitch here, into that half treble. So I'm working through 2, and now I'm working through all loops on the hook. Then I skip this stitch here. I'm going to work through the top loops and through the back loop only, and that back loop is 2 rounds below, and I'm making a half double crochet. Then 4 single crochet, and again I'm going to work that behind and in front stitch, that 2 together stitch. This time I'm going to work behind the stitch first in the skipped stitches top loops, and I'm beginning a double crochet, and then I'm working around the front stitch here. I'm also a double crochet, and now I'll bring them both together. Then 2 single crochet, and now a treble, 1 behind and 2 rounds below, so this long antler here. Remember to skip the stitch behind this, work 1 single crochet in the next, and that should be the middle stitch of those 3 here. Now we're working ahead, but because we're changing directions, we're working from the opposite side again. It's a treble, a front post treble from the opposite side. So we go 1 ahead and 2 down. Now we make 2 single crochet, and the opposite stitch that we did here, the 2 together, this time we're working like we did in the beginning here. We're working the front part first, so a front post double crochet, and then we work in the top loops of the skip stitch. We begin a front post double crochet, and then we go through all loops. Now we finish that stitch. Now we've got 4 single crochet, and then again we'll work the HDC BB in back loop only, or HDC BBX. We go through the top loops and then through the back loop only, because the front loop is taken from that half treble. The 2 together stitch again, this time in the other direction, which means we're working the half treble leg first. We go insert the hook from the normal side into that, or under behind that half treble, go through 2 loops only, you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over twice again, and the second leg will be worked around this front post double treble, but from the opposite side. And then through all. So we skip 1 stitch, and then we'll make 1 single crochet, and that should be the one just before this empty space here, which we close with a HDC BBX again. Then we're making 2 single crochet, and again that combination. This time we're making the behind and below double crochet leg first, and then the front post double crochet leg. And then we've got 1 more single crochet to go in the last stitch here before we are in the corner. Single crochet, a 2 together stitch, first the front post leg, front post double crochet leg, and then the DC BB leg. Two single crochet, a HDC BBX, one single crochet, a 2 together with the first leg a treble, going back 2 stitches and down 1 round. The second leg is a treble, a half treble, a front post half treble, which is worked into this stitch from the opposite side. Skip that stitch behind here, and we're working a HDC BBX in the back loop only of that, well, through the top loops, and then in the back loop only of that skipped stitch. 4 single crochet, again a together stitch behind and in front, and this time we do the behind part first, DCBB, and then a front post double crochet and together, then 2 single crochet and a front post treble, -1 -2. We're working around this stitch here. Single crochet in the middle of those 3 stitches, and then 1 ahead, 2 rounds down, a front post treble from the opposite side. Two single crochet, and then again a 2 together stitch. We're going to work the front post double crochet leg first, and then in the skipped stitches top loops with the DCBB and together. 4 single crochet, and the HDCBB X in the back loop only. Now we're working the half treble leg first of that 2 together stitch. Insert normal from the normal side. Work through 2 loops only, 3 loops on the hook, 2 more yarn over, and we work the second leg from the opposite side, which is a treble. Oops, I didn't get that. Which is a treble leg. So we go through 2, go through 2, and now we go through all loops on the hook. We skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next. Sorry, we skip the stitch behind the special stitch and then single crochet in the next. Now we're making a HDCBBX where we go through both loops twice. 2 single crochet, then we start our 2 together stitch with the DCBB leg in the skipped top loops here, and then we're making our front post double crochet leg, and we'll bring it together. And I've got 1 more stitch to go, which is a single crochet in the last stitch. So there you go. That's 2 sides done. So just 1 half to go, which means repeat this last side 2 more times and then slip stitch into the first single crochet after starting corner, and we are ready for round 19. So our almost final round, second to last. By now you know that we start with a chain 1 and then the corner. And here we start with 7 single crochet. Then we're making a HDC BB, so we go through the top loops of that 2 together stitch here and through both top loops of the skipped stitch below. Then we'll make 8 single crochet, which should bring you to this inner antler here, where we again make a HDC BBX. Like that, and 1 single crochet, and again HDC BBX. Then 8 single crochet, and another HDC BBX. Go through the top loops and both top loops of the skipped stitch below. finish with 7 single crochet. And that's it. And that's so easy. I don't think we need a crochet along for that. So we just do it on the other 3 sides, and then slip stitch into the first single crochet of the starting corner, and we begin our round 20 together, which will be the last round for this square, if you're not choosing to make a square border. If you're not intending to add a square border, this will be your last round. But if you want to add a square border, then you have 4 choices. Or you have 1 choice between 4 options. The first is to add the square border from season 1, which is this one, Jamie, Claire and Frank. The second is to add the season 2 square border, which is Scotland. The third is to add the Plants and Herbs square border, which is designed by Veronica Godolova, who is a collaborator with our Replan Jamie Carl. And the fourth option is to add the Stag border, which is this one, which is specifically designed for this square. So either way, your round 20 will be made by working single crochet in the 3rd loop. So let's do that. I'm just going to do a few because that's quite easy. So I started with our normal corner, and to work in the 3rd loop, it's good to know your stitch anatomy. So this here is this one. This is the front loop, this is the back loop, and the 3rd loop is just behind the back loop, a little bit to the side. Now, sometimes this can be a little bit more tricky to work into than just working in the front or back loop. So if you don't want to do that, just work in the back loop. It will give you a similar effect. So working in the back loop will look like this. So you get a little bit of a ridge there. If you decide you want to work in the 3rd loop, then you find that 3rd loop and then you're working a single crochet into that. I'm just going to, you see how I'm using my thumb or my nail to just slide that 3rd loop on the hook. I think another way to do it is to bring the hook back from the back to front and grab the leg on your working side, because that is the same as a 3rd loop. So I'm just going to undo that. I'm going to grab the loop normally. So I've done a few. So you see, this is what it looks like when you work in the 3rd loop, and this is what it looks like when you work in the back loops only. You also get a distinction, you also get a little bit of a ridge, but with this one, that ridge is more distinct and it looks more knitted in that part, which can be nice. So now all you have to do is to work your 3rd loop stitches or back loop stitches, whichever way you want to do it, and then decide which kind of border you would like to add, or if you would like to add a border at all. As I said, you've got those 4 choices, and there will be links in the video tutorial for each of them. So enjoy, and I hope you had lots of fun doing this square 13 of the wrapped in chamois cowl. You can find a link, an overview of all the other squares and those that are to come on the website, and links are also in the tutorial below. So yeah, I hope you'll see you for the tutorial for some of the other squares, if not all of them. And until then, take care, and remember to subscribe and click that bell button so that you automatically get notified when a new video is uploaded or is released for public viewing. Okay, enjoy and have fun. Let me know if that was helpful, and let me know how that can, or these kind of tutorials can be improved. See you then. Bye.